Stacked in here.
We are packed in here.
Lord. Looks like we're going on some sort of hunting trip or something. I don't know. What's up? I'm here.
You are here.
I am here. I'm ready.
Buck and I were out here. He's about a half a mile that way. And I was trying to cross this field to go listen somewhere else. But there was a hen down here. So I was watching her a second to make sure she didn't have anybody behind her. And I saw this black dot appear way out there. And it was big. And it got closer and closer. And it was a tom. And he went up in these ridges kind of toward Buck. So he's up in here somewhere, and I actually think he was heading to the ridge that I about walked under one last year. But I've got gobbles out in this vicinity over here, which is what I call fool's gold, because the public makes a big corner right there. And they'll oftentimes be just on the other side, on the private. So I call that area fool's gold. But some sounded closer. So they might be on this side of the fence line. They did that a couple times last year, but I just couldn't get onto them. But most of the time they're on the other side of the fence line. And that sun finally cracked out just as it's about to set. But we do got some form of a lead tomorrow. I really think there's one in here behind me. That joker kind of appeared just to the right of where the sun is and went this way up into here. It gets flat up here through these trees, and there's kind of a short green ag field up there. It's really quite beautiful. It's quite beautiful getting out right now. Look at that. Here before too long, I'm going to have to crank out some ugly owl hoots and crow calls to try and get some better gobbles from somewhere. So there are birds gobbling in just about a 360 from me, and most of them are a long way away, except for the one that just gobbled. And Buck sent me an awesome text. Check this out. Let's go. I reckon we'll be after that guy in the morning. It's probably the one I just heard, because his buck is in that direction coming to meet me, and that bird is probably only a few hundred yards from his path he's walking back to get to me. So we got a pretty good idea where that bird is. And it just so happens that bird gobbled and made a crisscross with a line I already made. So I have a feeling that in that vicinity where those two lines cross is where that bird is. In the Army, we'd call that intersection.
The next morning, that bird was nowhere to be found. It never made a peep. So we just started walking further in.
Alright, the bird we set up on this morning disappeared on us. I don't know. Buck and I both roasted him last night. But right now, we got one gobbling. Right back here, he gobbled on his own. We've been moving in this direction to get closer. He gobbled, he's not that far that way. Buck's set up right here. I'm going to try to call that bird through, Buck. bird's gone quiet and has been quiet. We've only heard them. I got them to answer me about 45 minutes ago. One time. I've been calling every 10 to 15 minutes. And that was the only time he hit me back. So we're just gonna kind of go up through the woods, go uphill, and then see if we can look down because it's real open over there. That's why we haven't tried to advance on them any further. You got this little chunk of woods we're in, a tiny gap of field or meadow, and then tiny little trees, and then it opens up on the other side. So we'd be pretty exposed in these tiny little trees on the backside here, which is about 60 yards from me right now, maybe 70. So we're just gonna go through the woods this way, up a hill, and we'll be able to look down what is actually the public-private fence line, and then be able to look out in this area in case he is with hens and he's drifted off into the open out that way. Gotta do something though. It's not exactly warm just sitting here in the shade.
And then that fizzled out and produced nothing, but it gave us a chance to walk a little further. Now keep in mind, Buck's a Florida boy, so he lives at sea level and everything is flat in Florida. Now we're in the hills of Nebraska at 4,000 feet.
So not only do I get myself climbing goofy crap, now I got Buck doing it.
Our day ended a little early because the rains came in. So that evening I'm just laying in my tent. And it rained all night long. We were wet. Those tents are not completely waterproof when it rains for 12 hours. And the wind was supposed to come in and pick up really heavy. So before we left in the morning, we had to collapse our tents down, barricade them with stuff so hopefully they won't blow away. And I've got a flat tire. There's a nail in my tire. Awesome way to start the morning. So after an uneventful morning, we went into town to go get my tire fixed. All right, so up to this point, the day has been weird, just weird. Had that tire flat, we got it fixed, no problem, super fast, awesome place. But the wind is heavy, so we've been trying to figure out what we're gonna do with the rest of our day. So as we cruise this piece of public where I cruised last year, except we got a strutter now. So we strategically dropped Buck off with the gun. He's going in light, he's trying to stalk on it. I'm gonna pull out my bigger camera and see if I can't get any video footage of this. There's Buck in the lower right corner, and the strutter and a couple hens are down below the hill, down at the base of those trees. And there's Buck again. Boy, I hope she doesn't bust the deal, because Buck is right there in the center of the screen. And there she is. There's a hen right there. Alright, she looks like she's below eye level for Buck, so that's good. I know it's hard to believe, but that situation kind of fizzled out as well. I'm trying to stay out of the wind, but I don't know if that's possible. So Buck ran out of real estate to try to get close to those birds. There's the wind. And he ran out of real estate, so he backed up, got out of there. The two hens weren't spooked. The strutter was not spooked. We have arranged a plan that we are going to go try to roost that thing tonight and then go get on them in the morning. Our tent situation is ridiculous because they're wet, just wet. Everything's wet. Got the tire situation resolved, but the wet tents and the wet sleeping bags and everything, we're going to try to open them up, let them air out overnight, and tomorrow we're going to do a hotel room tonight and see if that'll get us back on track. And it also doesn't help that tonight's going to be the coldest night, so it's going to be probably below 40 degrees and everything's wet, so that's not cool and kosher. So not to mention that spot where we found that strutter is a long way from where we're camping. There's the wind again. So that's the update. And so in the meantime, what we did was we both took different splits on these little creek cuts and set up for a couple hours. I didn't hear a shot from his side, so I don't think he shot anything. And I bumped a hen walking in. And other than that, uneventful. I'm about to link up with Buck. We're gonna go back to the camp, see how the wind is there, since we had to mash everything down because the wind was supposed to be really terrible today. It's bad, but it's not terrible. So we might be able to pop them jokers up, let them start airing out sooner than later. So we'll go ahead and get moving. And I don't know if you heard anything I said with this wind. Nebraska's not treating us very good. Flat tire, terrible weather. So hopefully tomorrow things will improve. Hope you liked this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down there. And as always, thanks for watching.